Well, Senator Bernie Sanders, he is calling out members of his own party, the Democrats. In a recent national cable network interview, Sanders criticized President Joe Biden's visit to Saudi Arabia due to reports that the 2018 murder of Washington Post journalist was orchestrated by the country's crown prince, who he met with. Now, Sanders also accusing Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema of, quote, sabotaging the president's agenda. Well, joining us now is Julia Manchester, national politics reporter from our partners at The Hill. So many questions here. First of all, Julia, Senator Sanders is taking aim at his own fellow Democrats, blasting President Biden for meeting with Saudi Arabia, then accusing Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema of derailing the president's agenda. Is that fair of him to do so?
Look, I think this is par for the course for Senator Sanders. He has been someone who has been a vocal critic of President Biden whenever, or, members of the Democratic Party when they don't agree with his progressive agenda. And it really highlights the divide between Democrats right now, particularly in the Senate. I mean, you have Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, two Democrats who have been thorns in the Biden administration's side going forward for some time right now in terms of its agenda. However, you have Biden under a lot of pressure from progressives as well. And Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are therefore, standing in the way of that. So Bernie Sanders, as a progressive leader in the country, is naturally going to say something. And in terms of Biden's Saudi Arabia visit, I mean, look, I think any sitting president in the U.S. has always faced criticism about meeting with Saudi Arabia. And it underscores the very narrow line they have to walk between that criticism of, the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia's ties to the 9/11 terror attacks, the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, and obviously energy production. But also it just shows how dependent the United States is on Saudi Arabia. And I think you have Senator Sanders very much highlighting that.
Well, we all know that this also isn't the first time that we've heard frustration about Democrats, Manchin and Sinema. Could we actively start seeing Democrats supporting their challengers?
That's a good question. And we have, been asking around about that at The Hill, ahead of their primaries. Now, they're not facing a primary this year, obviously. They have a number of years to go. However, it's something we're going to be keeping an eye out for. And we know that a number of progressive groups have particularly gotten behind, potential primary challengers or floated primary challengers for Senator Sinema in Arizona. So, clearly there's a divide here, and you have progressives very much trying to get the ball rolling for Senator Sinema in Arizona, which is very much a swing state. For Joe Manchin, that's a different kind of question, because we know that West Virginia is a red state, and to be a Democratic senator from West Virginia, you probably got to moderate yourself. So it's difficult for progressives to play in West Virginia the same way they do in Arizona.
Okay, Julia, well, switching to the GOP now, another Trump and Pence conflict in Arizona. They're backing opposing candidates in the governor's race. How do you expect this rift to impact Republicans in the midterms?
It's so interesting watching these proxy battles really play out in these primaries. And this is just an example of one. You have Kari Lake being endorsed by former President Trump. We know that Kari Lake is someone who has very much touted President Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him. However, you have the Republican establishment in Arizona, really led by current Governor Doug Ducey and Vice President Pence, Trump's former vice president, backing another candidate in this primary. So I think this shows how much of a proxy battle is forming. And I think on the Pence-Ducey side of things and the more establishment side of things, you have a lot of Republicans saying, look, we need to stop talking about relitigating the 2020 election and instead focus on issues like inflation, the border, crime, especially in a state like Arizona. And they warn that if they focus too much on the 2020 election, they're going to miss an opportunity to really attack Biden and Democrats' records in the midterms and even in 2024.
Julia, shocking to see such a tight race that is happening there in Arizona. It could really depend on who is backing them. Julia Manchester, thank you. Well,
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.